Man, I wish someone outlined this to me earlier. I wished I knew some of the things that university students learn too late. See, as I enter into my last year of university, these are some of the lessons and things that I've accumulated over my 4 years at my university. And if I knew these sooner, this would have helped me so much throughout university. So I want to share them with you. Now, if you're currently in university, this is still a great time to watch this video because it can allow you to course correct some of the things you might be doing wrong. And if you're entering university, this is going to be a great framework to use so that you can start to think about these things more concretely. So let's dive into the first thing that people learn too late in university. So the first lesson that university students learn too late is that university is not a joke. Let me elaborate more on this. You have to understand that there are millions of people that would die for the position that you have today. The access to attend higher education is an opportunity that you should not take for granted. And the reason why I'm outlining that university is not a joke is because oftentimes I meet and talk with students and they forget the purpose of why they're actually at university. So in my personal opinion, I believe that university is designed to help give you the theoretical and practical knowledge to allow you to grow and expand in a career that you desire or a career that you choose. This is why you go to class, you learn materials, or you have some practical classes like labs or other courses where you can actually practice what you were teaching with the hopes of you entering in a similar field where they can teach you more, or you can use that knowledge that you've already gained in university to apply it to the workplace. But you'll be surprised. See, I'm a student mentor here at my university, and a lot of people forget the significance behind it, or they realize this way too late. I actually want to outline a story where I met this guy who kind of amplifies this example really well. So he went to the university that I went to many years ago, but he kind of explained to me that he wasn't able to finish his time at university. And I asked him why. I was like, what happened? And he kind of outlined that when he was there, he got too much into the party culture, too much into women, and he wasn't able to focus or keep up with his classes. When I heard that, I was like, wow. So you allowed too much partying and women as a distraction to not allow you to complete your obligations as a university student. See, that right there speaks to being irresponsible. I don't want to bash that guy throughout this video, but I want to highlight that if he understood the purpose of university before all of that, he would understand that the parties and chasing after a bunch of women in his example was not worth it. It was not why he was actually there. It's not why he's spending thousands of dollars to go to these schools. See, university is not cheap, and I'm sure a lot of you know this. People leave university with thousands of dollars in debt that they have to pay back at a later rate. So if you forget the purpose of why you're even there, this can be extremely detrimental to your future success. And I want to emphasize throughout this video that I am not against partying. I've shown videos before where I go out and have a good time. I personally believe in partying with a purpose. So if there's an occasion to celebrate or there's a milestone or an accomplishment, that's an excellent time to party. But 90% of the time, I'm focused on my work and focused on self-improving as an individual. And then call it around 10% of the time, I can enjoy a great party or to have some fun. And see, that split works well for me because it allows me to stay focused on what I need to do, but at the same time, make sure that I'm still enjoying myself as I'm growing up. But what's really crucial about that split is I do know what the purpose of university is. I know why I'm here. I know why I'm showing up daily. And I want to make sure that you understand that before it's too late. Because once you understand all the sacrifices that were made for you to even just go to university, once you understand the time, effort, the money that you're spending in the institution, and once you understand that this is not a joke, this is something that you should take serious, you will approach school with a completely different framework, and you'll see things like your grades start to increase, your intention and your focus improve because you know why you're there. So I hope that helps. So the next thing that university students learn too late is how to actually learn properly. Now, what's super funny about this topic is that us as students were never formally taught how to learn. We went to class, we did what we thought would work, and we repeated that process over and over again. And I really didn't pay too much attention to how I learned because all throughout elementary school and high school, I got exceptional marks, never really struggled there. It wasn't until I came to university and I did my first midterm. I remember it being in physics, and I just did not do well. And that was the first time where I realized that I actually didn't know how to learn properly. So that led me on a completely different journey, reading books on top of books, trying different learning strategies on top of learning strategies. So I finally figured out how to actually learn and then implement that on a consistent basis. But if I actually took the time to learn earlier, this would have saved me so much headache, so much stress. And this is something that a lot of university students still don't know how to do even after graduating. There is a science behind learning, and there's stages that you can do to make sure you're reinforcing that learning on a high level. But if you're not taught that, then of course it's going to be hard to know how to do it. Typically, students go through a period of trial and error where they try different things and then they try to do something or stick with something that they believe that works. But oftentimes, it's not the best method to really propel them to success. So, for the sake of time, I'm not going to talk about in depth the details of how to actually learn. I'm going to save that for another video. So, make sure you're subscribed so you can be in the loop when I do drop that video. But you should look to understand, research it, and start to implement some of the practices. But in the meantime, being intentional about how to learn before you actually dive into subject matters is going to be very important because it will allow you to not only absorb but learn at a much efficient and effective rate. So the next thing that university students learn too late is the importance of keeping their connections. See, one of the biggest assets of university is being surrounded by so many different people who come from so many different backgrounds, cultures, and life experiences. The truth is, most of us aren't going to be around this many people after university. And I want to illustrate this with a quick story. So let's say you're in math class and you have a friend, his name is Ryan. And the thing with Ryan is he was pretty quiet, he was pretty shy, but you and Ryan got along really well in your math class. You worked together on a few practice problems, you did well in the course. But after the course was over, you had no way of keeping in contact with Ryan. So what happens 5 to 6 years later, you graduate, you move on with your lives, but then you're struggling because you're looking for a job that pays you really well for the skills that you have acquired. And you look and you find out that your old friend Ryan has a company that's doing extremely well. Now, the problem is you haven't been in contact with Ryan in the past 5 to 6 years, and so much has happened throughout then. So, what happens? You become overlooked for the position, and unfortunately, Ryan finds someone else who he was closer with, or someone else who kept in contact with him throughout his time at university. Now, I know that that is an extreme example, but I want that to really sink in because the truth is, you really never know what can happen from the connections you make in university. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to keep up with every single person you go to school with. That is very unrealistic, but there's ways that you can do this very professionally and very seamlessly. For example, having social media profiles or professional profiles like LinkedIn or Instagram where you're connecting with people you went to school with is a great way to start. Or checking in with some of these people once in a while is another great way to keep them within your ecosystem. Because the truth is, you never truly know what's going to transpire in the next 4 to 5 years after you graduate. You never know how life comes back in a circle and when you may need someone who you went to school with or who you know in your corner. There's been so many examples of this in my life, and I'm not saying to keep these people in your corner to use them for your own success. No, what I'm saying is be a good person, have those communications, but don't lose those connections that you have with people, especially if they're positive ones. So the next thing that people learn too late in university is the importance of building an online presence and having the ability to market yourself correctly. So this ties in perfectly with the last point of really wanting to keep your connection strong. But when you're keeping your connection strong, you have to be very careful about your digital footprint. One example that I see quite a lot in university is Halloween. And Halloween is a time where people dress up in all different types of costumes. But in university, typically they're dressing up pretty provocatively, or they're doing things that they know, they would not show their parents or they would not show an employer. But the problem with that is they're throwing it up on their social media. And now that we live in such a digital era, a quick Google search of your name or going on a social platform and searching up your full name, it's pretty easy to find out who you are, what your account is showing, and who you represent as a person. Now imagine let's say you're looking for a job or you're looking to join a company and they do a quick Google search of who you are and they look at your digital footprint and they see some things that don't really align with the values of the company. It doesn't matter if you have all the right credentials, if you're the perfect candidate. If that is the problem and concern, that you might get overlooked for the position and it will get filled by someone else. So this is why in university your digital footprint really matters. There's going to be a lot of time where you might be taking a photo or you might be engaged in certain activity. But remember that the things that get posted on social media and the content that's there will last for a very long time. And this is something that I even think about constantly. Not that I'm posting anything wrong, but typically if you watch my channel, I'm posting a lot of things, high performance, self-improvement, because these are things that I genuinely believe in. But I'm also aware that, like, let's say hypothetically someone down the line looks at my profile and they see what I'm posting. They may cringe at a few videos or they may not think it's interesting, but at the end of the day, the message is pretty positive. It's really teaching others how to live a more high performance lifestyle because it's something that I practice and something that I'm really diving deep into. So I'm not saying you can't post on social media. I'm not saying you can't have fun. But what I am saying is it's important to be kind of aware of what you are posting because these things last for a very long time. And what can be an even better asset for you is to show off when you go to events or conferences and really touch on some of your learning aspects. This is something that I've been doing more so on platforms like LinkedIn, where I'm sharing my experiences that I attend to conferences. So let's say an employer were to search my name or want to learn more about me, they're going to see, oh, he went to this conference and he learned that, or he's connected with these individuals. And as a result, I think it helps boost myself as a candidate. So I'm hoping that you can do the same. So the next thing that university students learn too late is that failure is normal. It's very common for a lot of students in high school to be quote unquote perfectionists. They do really well, they get great grades, everything is pretty straightforward with very minor hiccups. And then what happens? They get to higher education, like university and college, and there is some hiccups along the way. I've had these hiccups too. I remember my first hiccup, especially in university and college, was getting a mark that I've never seen before in my academic career. It really destroyed my confidence, and I really questioned myself and my ability to learn at a high level. But what I should have understood when I did that was failure is normal and it is a part of the process. But what's more important is when you fail is to learn from it. Understand why the outcome came to be that outcome. And then the trick is to course correct it so it does not happen again. And what's interesting about failure is, in my opinion, it's only truly a failure if you're not learning from that lesson, because they're trying to teach you something that you did wrong so that you don't do it again. You make the change for next time. It's important to look at failure as a learning opportunity so you don't have to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So the next thing that university students learn too late is how many resources are on campus. As a student, you have access to certain resources that you will not have access to after you graduate from your college or university. I typically find that students are in one of two camps. The first camp is they don't know about any of the resources that exist on campus. They're not aware of it, and oftentimes they could really benefit from a lot of the resources, but unfortunately they just don't know that they exist. And then the second camp is the students who are kind of aware of the resources, but they never engage with it. So if you're in the first camp, you don't know about any resources that exist at your school, the first thing that I would say is to, one, research. Oftentimes online, there are certain programs, especially if you go to those bigger universities, they'll outline what is available for you. Or you can talk to people like guidance counselors or academic counselors to really show you some of the resources that you can tap into that are tailored to your needs. And if you're a part of the second camp where you realize that there are resources on your campus, but you just never really engaged with them or never really found value, don't get me wrong, you do not have to use every resource on your campus, but I really challenge you to try a couple of your resources. You'll come to realize that a lot of these resources are here to support you and help you. For example, at my school, we have a professional photo booth where you can take high quality professional photos to really capture them for professional profiles like LinkedIn or Instagram, which I think is a really cool opportunity. And so many students aren't really aware of this, and they end up going to hire professional photographers and paying them lots of money when they could literally do it for free at our school. So that right there is a perfect example. Tap into the resources that are offered to you as a student, from scholarships to bursaries, anything that you can find, and really use them to enhance your education. So the next lesson that university students learn too late is that you need more experiences outside of the classroom. Now let me elaborate more on this. See, typically in university, you are learning a lot of theoretical material, a lot of knowledge, a lot of theory, and a lot of it is not the practical things that you can apply to your everyday life. So what you should do is, again, learn the theory and try to apply it where you can. So sometimes in your programs or your courses, you have lab opportunities, research opportunities. Or what a lot of students typically do is on their summers, they find things like internships or job opportunities that relate to what they're already learning, so then they can take that theory and then apply it to somewhere practical. Now, this is something that I've done. I've worked different jobs throughout my summers, and it's something that I'm actually looking to improve, especially as I enter into my last year at university, where I want to take a lot of the theory that I've been learning and applying it into practice. And what I've seen with students who do this is, number one, it makes the things that they're learning really stick with them that much better because they have the theory behind it, but they also know what the practical looks behind it. So it allows them to really learn what they're learning in the material at a much deeper level. And number two, it helps really build their confidence in the classroom. There's actually meaning behind a lot of the theory that they get. It's going to be common that you're going to be in university and you're going to receive a lot of knowledge and a lot of theory, and you might just think to yourself, like, when am I actually going to use this? When am I going to see this in practice? Well, when you do the practical component through your jobs, your internships, or lab and volunteer opportunities, this is where you see the theory being applied into practice. And I highly encourage you, if you have not started already, find a way to get your hands into the practical stuff. So the next thing that university students learn too late is to ask for help, because everyone else is confused too. When I think about this, I actually smile because I remember being in my first year at university thinking that that one person over there or that person over there had everything figured out. And then, I'm a pretty talkative person. I like to communicate with others, and then when I would talk to these individuals, I realized one thing that was quite funny. A lot of them did not have it figured out. They were trying to figure it out just like me, and some of them were even more confused than I was. There's this illusion that that one person in your class knows everything and they have everything figured out, but the truth is they do not. They're confused just like you are. But when you go and you ask questions and you bring different brains and different insights together, this can help you come to more concrete conclusions and really help you solve certain problems. So now I'm at the stage where I'm not too afraid to ask for help, especially when I am struggling, because I realize that if I'm struggling or I'm confused, chances are there's multiple other people who are in the same boat. And when you ask for help and you get that reassurance, it's really building your confidence, and you also remember what you asked that much better because one, it was tailored towards you, and two, you remember just asking the question and getting the input that was provided. So I highly encourage you, don't be afraid, ask for questions, ask for clarification, and remember that person that you think has it all figured out is just as confused as you are. If not, there might be even more confused. And when I realized that other people are confused too, this taught me two important lessons. Number one, that everyone is still figuring it out. That person that you think in your class knows the answers to everything, trust me, they don't. Or they might know a little bit more than you or a little bit less than you, but that's okay. They don't know everything. And the second thing that it taught me is that it's okay to ask for help. Actually, asking for help is really good, because what I find is when you ask for help from someone here, they may not know the answer, but they have a different perspective or different insight on it that they can then share with you to help you solve and answer those questions. And the last thing that university students learn too late is that the opportunities are endless. You just have to look for them. So you need to understand that there's opportunities all around you, and you're in such a blessed and privileged position to be in an institution like university and college where a lot of these great opportunities already exist. When I think about opportunities, I like to think about the red car theory. I've talked about this before on my channel, but the red car theory just illustrates that, typically throughout your day, if I were to ask you how many red cars did you see today, you probably don't have an answer, or you probably were like, you know what, I didn't see any red cars. But then if I told you the next day, for every red car that you see, I will give you $1 million. Trust me, you will, one, be looking out for a ton of red cars, and two, you'll find that there's actually a lot of red cars out there. But it's actually not that there's a lot of red cars, it's that you're actively looking for those red cars, because therefore they're going to stand out more to you. And this is the same thing that is applied through opportunities. You need to understand that there are endless opportunities out there, especially as a student. But if you're not looking for them, you're never going to find them. So I highly encourage you to be very intentional about going after these opportunities. I like to remember, and I have this screensaver on my phone, that the world is yours. You have to go out there and create these opportunities and reach out to people and connect with others and apply to different things, but just keep going, because these opportunities are here for you to take. And once you understand that, it's going to allow you to be more intentional about how you go about searching for opportunities. This is also going to allow you to develop into a more high performing individual and really reach out and branch into your best performing self. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed. After checking my YouTube analytics, it came to my attention that over 90% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. So I highly suggest, if you get any value from these videos, hit that subscribe button below. But at the end of the day, you know what I always say, make sure to always believe that you will achieve. My name is Miles, and I'm signing off. Woo!